Hello, I'm Grant Martin, and in this speech, I will be explaining to you why Grand Theft Auto 5 is the greatest video game of all time. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out in 2013. I was in 7th grade, so a lot of nostalgia for the game around a lot of guys my age, but really the game has lasted so long, it's probably 7-year age gap of guys that have just played hours and hours of Grand Theft Auto that can attest to this. It's a single player game at heart, but multiplayer is what made it as big as it is. Single player game, it's just so detailed. The story and the characters are amazing. You got 3 characters, Trevor, Michael, and Franklin, and it starts off, you got a heist. And the single-player story is based around this heist, the guys involved in the heist, and their lives, basically, after the heist. You got to live, make money doing other heists after this first heist. The story, I'm not going to get into it because that's not really what this is about. But the story, it's just so deep. The game itself is deep. Everything about the game, there's so many levels to everything in the game, which is why I think it's amazing. For example, like in the game, it's got its own stock market. You have a phone where you get emails and texts. It's just the amount of detail and work that went into the game while keeping it under like 100 gigabytes. I just think it's insane. And it's just a masterpiece. I don't really know how else to say it. But the game came out in 2013. Sold 90 million units worldwide. And in 2017, 4 years after its release, it still outsold every other game that year. It's the 3rd highest selling game of all time behind Minecraft and Tetris. And I can't lie, Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto 5, it's a toss-up between those two. The only reason I'm not telling you why Minecraft is the best is because I just have more time on Grand Theft Auto because there's so much more content. It's just filled with content. And they're consistently coming out with more DLC for the game. Rockstar Games, the producers and developers of Grand Theft Auto 5. It's 2020, 7 years after their release. And as of June, they just had a big DLC, which is downloadable content. They just released more content for games 7 years later. And from a business perspective, if a video game is still releasing stuff 7 years later, that means they're still making money on it, which is absurd for video games because you got titles like Call of Duty that release every single year. And after a year, everybody's just playing the new one. Where when it comes to Grand Theft Auto, 7 years. Just straight Grand Theft Auto 5. Driving cars, shooting guns. It's crazy. But then the game is also, earlier I said sentimental value, nostalgia. That's where I and a lot of my peers, my friends basically, we all think it's an insane game. It got 10s from Metacritic, IGN, Trusted Reviews, and Games Radar, which, video game-wise, those are the names, I guess, for people that judge and rate stuff. But one of my buddies made a really good point. He loves it so much because of its level of morality. You can choose how bad you want to be in the game or how good you want to be. And I think that just is a great point, an interesting concept for a game that I really can't think of any other game that hits that so well. And then the game, just so much content. I'm going to go back to content because you can't get bored on Grand Theft Auto. All my friends were just talking about, we think it's the greatest game of all time because we just don't get bored on it. You can just drive. There's so many game modes with your friends. You can play with your friends. Do whatever you want, basically. You can race. You can shoot. You can do missions together. It's just you never run out of stuff to do. And I guess really, it's just the greatest game of all time because of its consistency. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to consistency. You can load up that game and find something new to do that you have not done before. And I think that is why Grand Theft Auto is the greatest game of all time.